With its beautiful structure, intense flavor, fragrant filling, and elegant appearance, chocolate offers a rich sensory experience that almost everyone falls for. Chocolate is made from cocoa bean, which comes from the cocoa pod that grows on the cocoa tree. Cocoa grows in a narrow, only 40 degrees wide tropical belt around the equator, where the climate is hot and humid. The home of the cocoa tree is in the shade of larger trees in the rainforest. The climate of Ghana provides optimal conditions for growing cocoa. In Ghana, approximately 800,000 smallholder farmers rely on cocoa for their income. Ghana is the second largest cocoa producer in the world, delivering 600 to 700,000 tons of cocoa each year. The country's export income relies significantly on the annual cocoa crop. The cocoa pod is a large fruit shaped like an American football. It grows on the trunk and major branches of the cocoa tree. Each pod contains 35 to 45 cocoa beans surrounded by a white, sweet pulp. Tom's Confectionery Group buys all its cocoa from Ghana because of the high quality of cocoa beans. Tom's is the only Nordic company with full control over the production of chocolate in its factory in Ballerup, Denmark. In other words, Tom's does the processing on the raw cocoa beans when they are shipped to the factory and produces the fine chocolate of the beans. But the basis of the quality chocolate taste is determined already here in Ghana during the early processes, and therefore it is important for Tom's also to become involved in these processes and the supply chain as such. Tom's is also dedicated to taking responsibility of social condition of its cocoa supply chain, and is therefore involved even in the living circumstances of the cocoa farmers and their families.
Hvis man engagerer sig meget i sin forsyningskæde, så kan det måske ligefrem være med til at være positivt for ens økonomi, fordi at vi har fået ny viden, som blandt andet har betydet, at vi kan lave noget bedre chokolade. Og på den måde er den vidensopbygning, vi får, den er med til at styrke os som virksomhed. Samtidig med, at vi så kan glæde os over, at vi gør noget godt for en masse farmerfamilier og deres børn.
The cocoa pods are harvested manually by farmers by cutting the pods of the trees one by one selectively, simply because the pods do not ripe at the same time. The farmers typically use a knife or machete, which is sometimes tied to a shaft to reach the highest hanging pods. Once they are cut off, the cocoa pods are gathered and split open with a machete. The wet cocoa beans are taken out, still surrounded by the white pulp, while the outer shell is thrown away for composting. The first thing to do with the harvested cocoa beans is to ferment them. The fermentation is the first essential step towards developing the taste of cocoa. This creates the good flavor in the cocoa, which later is developed further when the cocoa is roasted in the chocolate factory. If the cocoa is not properly fermented, the right taste will not be generated by the later roasting process, and therefore fermentation is absolutely crucial.
Her har vi et eksempel på helt friske, ufermenterede kakaobønner. Man kan se, at strukturen er meget tæt, og at farven er meget lilla, og man kan se kimen, det er det hvide her. Den lilla farve skyldes antioxidanter. Kakao er faktisk en af de råvarer, som har det højeste indhold af antioxidanter. Hver kakaofrugt indeholder ca. 30 kakaobønner. Og til en plade chokolade skal der 2 kakaofrugter til. Det vi ser her er den traditionelle måde at fermentere kakao på i Ghana. Det er bunkefermentering, og det foregår helt enkelt ved, at farmeren lægger bananbladet ud på jorden, putter sine kakaobønner på, laver en bunke og isolerer bunken med bananbladet. Lige nu vender de bunken, sådan at der kommer luft ind til det hele. Det er vigtigt, at de inderste bønner også får luft ind. Og når de er færdige med det, så bliver bunken dækket til igen, og så fermenteret videre.
Heap fermentation, which requires a lot of banana leaves, is a very heavy work for the farmers since such a heap can weigh several hundred pounds. The fermentation starts naturally in the pulp that surrounds the cocoa beans. The temperature in the pulp rises to 50-55 Celsius degrees, and the sugar in the pulp is converted into alcohol and acids that initiates flavor development inside the cocoa beans. Tom's is continually working to improve and develop the taste of cocoa. In this context, the fermentation is indeed interesting. A collaboration with Danida and the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana has led to the fact that Tom's can produce a particularly delicious chocolate through this change in fermentation method. At the same time, the new method also benefits the farmers and their working conditions.
Bakken bliver fyldt med kakao her til kanten. Den bliver spredt herud over det hele, ensartet. Så bliver der lagt en ny bakke på, nye kakaobønner på, og så til sidst så bliver det dækket med bananblade for at holde på varmen. Fordelen ved den her metode er, at al kakaoen får ilt igennem de her sprækker, og samtidig er det pakket så tæt, så det holder på varmen, som er vigtigt for fermenteringsprocessen.
Another advantage of the tray fermentation is that the farmer uses only 4 banana leaves by this method, while the consumption by heap fermentation can be up to 30 banana leaves. In the harvest season, shortage of banana leaves can occur. So the tray fermentation is friendly with forest environment because it uses significantly fewer banana leaves. After fermentation, the farmers bring the cocoa beans into the village for drying.
Kakaobønnerne bliver bredt ud på den her måtte, og farmerne går i gang med at pille urenheder ud af kakaobønnerne. Kakaobønnerne ligger her i 7-10 dage og tørrer, og så kommer de ned på en vandprocent på 7, og så er de klar til at blive solgt og eksporteret videre til chokoladeproducenter.
After drying, the cocoa beans are loaded into bags and ready to be sold. In the villages, so-called license buying companies have posts where the farmers can get their cocoa quality inspected and weighed and finally sell their products. The farmers decide on their own to which licensed buying company they will sell. Tom's is the only producer of chocolate that has full traceability all the way to the 148 villages in the 3 selected districts in Ghana. It means that each cocoa bag is labeled with a number specifically for each village. Tom's buys all its African cocoa from these 3 districts: Sefwiwiaso, Sankore and Bibiani. The labeled bags must then go through a quality control, ensuring that the beans are dried to 7%. A number of cocoa beans are cut with a knife to check that the fermentation rate is in order. The cocoa beans must be brown and aromatic. Then the cocoa bags are shipped to a dedicated warehouse at the port and further on to a warehouse in Europe to finally arrive at Tom's chocolate factory in Bellerup. Traceability enables Tom's to become involved directly in its cocoa supply chain and get engaged in working sustainably with sourcing its cocoa. it gives Toms the opportunity to address issues in the farmers' everyday lives and working with cocoa. Furthermore, with its involvement, Toms can engage in innovation at farmer level, as was the case with the fermentation, ensure quality and gain insight into the supply chain. Toms pays an overprice, a premium for the traceable cocoa. Half of the premium goes to cover the costs to ensure that this cocoa is handled traceably. The other half is dedicated to a foundation supporting social investments in the 3 communities, like wells, malaria nets or other improvements that could contribute to a better quality of everyday life. But the foundation does not only pay for social investments, it also supports training of farmers in sustainable agricultural skills so that they can get a higher yield of their crop and optimize their work on the farms.
Når man taler om børnearbejde i kakaosektoren i Ghana, så skal man vide, at langt de fleste farmere er smallholders. De har mindre end 3 hektar jord. Så der er ikke tale om store plantager og sådan på den måde slavelignende forhold, men der er tale om børnearbejde, som foregår inden for familiens rammer, hvor børn er ude og deltager aktivt i arbejdet på farmen.
Vi må trække i arbejdstøjet og engagere os i de her forhold, sådan så vi også er med til at gøre en forskel. Og dermed får vi også en berettigelse til at kunne tale mere om de her ting og få opbygget en viden, så vi rent faktisk ved, hvad forholdene er og hvad man kan gøre ved et fænomen som børnearbejde.
Det vi har valgt at gøre, det er at gå ind i et skoleprojekt, hvor formålet er at forbedre skolegangen for børnene og forhåbentlig få nogle flere børn i skole. Derudover har vi også som et led i det projekt involveret os i lokalsamfundet for at gøre dem opmærksom på børns rettigheder og få skabt gang i nogle tanker omkring, hvordan man kan arbejde med kakaodyrkningen uden at det involverer børnene. Det vil sige den form for børnearbejde, der er skadelig for dem og som forhindrer dem i at gå i skole. Men det er jo en del af deres kultur at arbejde på farmen, og det er jo på den måde også en måde for børnene at lære om kakaodyrkning og deltage i det derhjemme.
The school project, which IBIS and Toms cooperate on, has over 3 years resulted in 4,200 more children having gotten into school, which is an improvement of 20%. In the same period, the number of children who finished 9th grade have increased from about 60 to 90%. They have recruited approximately 350 untrained teachers from the villages who have then become formally trained, thus bringing better quality education to the village schools in the cocoa districts. Approximately 400 trained teachers have received further education and learned a teaching method that centers on the individual child and which keeps a dialogue with the children. One of the project's districts, Tano South, has now been measured to be the 3rd best school district of Ghana, whereas it was placed 24th prior to the project. A work group of school principals have been established, where the parents are actively involved in discussing issues concerning child labor. There are several examples of parents who together have changed the workflow so as not to involve elements that are dangerous to children. Furthermore, radio programs have been sent out to the local areas, focusing on the right of children to get educated and be protected in connection with the growing of cocoa. Thus, the school project is contributing to the creation of social improvements in the supply chain, as well as contributing to the UN's 2015 goal number 2, to obtain basic education for all. Both the Education Project and the Tray Fermentation Project are expressions of corporate social responsibility. To Toms, this is part of the strategy towards a sustainable method of producing chocolate of high quality. As an expression of the company's social responsibility and its commercial strategy, Toms has chosen to engage in a variety of ways in Ghana. This engagement has meant that Tom's quite uniquely can participate in managing the taste and the quality of the chocolate it produces. But this also means that the farmers can get help in improving their working conditions and the education of their children.